In this video, we are going to talk a little bit about the type of scanning. And this is a big subject. We are going to cover the major type of scanning, but I will recommend that you go and read about the remaining type of scanning, because it's important to understand the type of scanning and the different ways they are working. So we're going to cover some of the scanning, the full open scan, which is the normal one, the thin scan, the reset scan. But I believe one of the most important topic in this presentation will be the firewalk, which is discovering or get familiar with the firewall. I mean, how can I discover firewall? So we're going to go through a nice tools that allow you to do that, to discover the rule on the firewall. Now let's talk about the full open scan. Full open scan, this is actually a regular connection. We went through that before, but I'm going to repeat it for you, which is how two computers connect together, how two computers communicate together. And we explained that when a computer connects to a server or another computer, they do not just communicate and start exchanging information. They start something called the three-way handshake, where the computer will send something called SYN, and the server will reply back with SYN-ACK, and the computer again will reply with the SYN, with an ACK, and then they will start communicating. So it's like a phone call. When you are calling someone and he pick up the phone, you do not just start talking. You first say hello. That means I'm on the line, and he gonna say hello, and this means that I can hear you and I'm also on the line, and then can I speak to Mr. X, and then you can start the communication. Same idea here. So we can use that for scanning. So I can take a port and send to him a SYN, and the port will reply back. Since the port is open, SYN-ACK, and then I'm going to reply ACK, and then I know that this port is open because it established this three-way handshake. So this is called the full open scan, and this is the easiest way. And during this section, I'm going to use some tools that use a full open scan, like SuperScan from a Windows tool, except it's detectable. So if the victim has a firewall or any kind of protection, he can detect that someone keep doing a three-way handshake on all of the port, so it's detectable. Second way, which is the most popular way, is called the SYN scan. So in the SYN scan, or sometimes referred to the half-open scan, your computer will send a SYN to the victim. Now the victim on the specific port, victim will reply back by SYN-ACK, and he's expecting an ACK from your side, but you do not send an ACK. You send a reset. I mean, disconnect me now. And by doing that, you now know that the port is open because you received the SYN-ACK. So you don't need to resume the connection because you don't want to be detected. So you just send those two. You send the SYN, wait for the SYN-ACK, and then you know that this port is open, and you do the same for all the other ports. And we're going to see in Nmap how it's done. Actually, Nmap allow you to choose the different kind of scans that you want to implement. We have a reset scan, which you only send a packet and wait for the reset. So you know reset will terminate the connection. So you know that the port is open. It's a very weak connection, a very weak scanning method, except it's one of the type. There is another type of scanning, like the FTP pounds, the Christmas scanning. I would recommend you that to start reading about them. Why it's important to understand the different kind of scan? Because when you do scan, besides gathering information about the victim, you also want to know how effective their firewall or their IPS or whatever protections they are using. So when you try different kind of scan, you should check, did the firewall detect them or not? And accordingly, you can evaluate if they are using the right type of protection and security appliance or not. The last topic that I want to refer to is something called firewalk technique. Firewalk, it's to check the firewall rule. Now the firewall, it's a preventive technique. It's a software or a hardware that has some rule that will allow specific traffic or deny other traffic. So for instance, you may have a website definitely the website will have a firewall before him, but because it's a website, it only allows port 480 and 443. So I need to start navigating and discovering the open port on the firewall, because later on I'm going to see how to exploit the system even if it has a firewall, because I was able to detect the open port on firewall. And a very good tool to be used is called HBank3. HBank3 will be used in two different ways during this course. We're going to use that for firewall right now, and later on you're going to see how to utilize those information. And we have a specific denial of service attack that's going to use the HBank3. It's a very, very effective and very powerful tool. Anyway, let's see how we can use the HBank3. So let me just open my virtual machine, and here you go. I'm going to open a terminal, and we're going to use a command called traceroute. And traceroute, so traceroute. Because it has different spelling if you are writing them in Windows, is different than Linux. So traceroute, and then let's put a website, www.easycouncil.org, or any website that you want. Now, what traceroute will do, it will show you the path. So here, something interesting. Okay, let's try another website. Okay, let me first try to ping on any website, www.cnn.com. I'm getting a reply, so let me repeat that, traceroute, and let me use cnn.com. And we can see the path of the packet. Something is not right. Let me repeat that from my Windows machine. Now let me explain exactly what I'm trying to do here. Okay. When we CMD send a packet to a specific website like easycouncil.com, so ping www.easycouncil.org, for instance, this packet is going through my machine, then it will go to the switch, then the router, then it will go to the internet where it has a lot of routers, and then it will go to cnn.com. Yeah, excellent. And then it would reach CNN or Easy Council or whatever website that definitely has a firewall, and it will check this packet is going through where. If it's a website and this packet is going to port 80, so this will be acceptable. But if it's going to any other port, it will not accept that. So traceroute will trace route www.cnn.com. So when we use traceroute, it will start tracing this packet and see where exactly it will be dropped. There's no way it can be dropped after one packet, after our router. Let's wait and see. Because once you start getting those, yeah, exactly, still going. But once you start getting star, that means the packet reach one router and then it dropped. This is the firewall. So as you can see, it shows me the path of the packet. I keep going from one router to another router to another. I didn't reach CNN yet. And I believe after some while, because this is all router on the internet in different countries, so my traffic is keep going. But after a while, I believe it will start showing only asterisks. Okay, and this will be an indication that my traffic start to be dropped because the firewall are preventing the traffic to go and bypass them. So now I know that I should know the IP of the router, and I should try to manipulate. I think we reached that. It's by no, still. Okay, so I think by router 11 this should be an indication that it didn't went through, but it also continue. Okay, so let me try the hping command, and let's see how to utilize that. So the command was hping 3 minus scan, and which port I'm checking, then -s and -t, and we're gonna put a number. Okay, so we're gonna clear the screen and type hping minus scan hping 3 minus scan, and then the port, which is 80, because if it's a website, definitely port 80 and 443 will be open. Then minus capital S, which means do a SYN. You remember SYN that we just explained, do not do a full open SYN scan. Then minus T, and then after how many hop or how many router I should check those open ports. So I'm going to start with 11, and the website www.cnn.com. And as you can see, yes, those two ports are open on this device. Now after doing that, I'm going to start the router after, which is 12, and still those two ports are open after that. And then if it has more machine, we can do 13, and 13 it was not showing on the trace route, but it seems that there was a machine, but because there was a firewall firewall before this machine, or definitely is the server, so the packet has been dropped. So I'm not aware of the 13 hub or the 13 router. Let me try 14. So you will be able to draw the network, as you're going to see later on. See, I keep discovering the bypassing the firewall, and now I know that on those machines, those ports are open. So when I'm planning for the attack, I know that I should focus on port 80 and 443 because the firewall allow traffic from them. So this is how to use hping 3 to discover the role of firewall. If I use the same and I use different port, like for instance, let me try port 135 or 445. On the same port, you're going to see that this port is not opened. So now I can discover, or I can find out which port is open on the firewall and which port is not opening. Thank you so much, and see you on the next video.